vision, or have another print disability which makes reading, holding a book, or turning a page difficult or impossible. The content is copyrighted by the respective publishers. For more information, please visit us on the web at nfradioreading.org.
Hello, this is Fran McNamara, and for the next hour, I'll be reading from the July 3rd through July 9th, 2026 issue of Buffalo Business First, right here in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. And oh my, the cover is, if you'll pardon the expression, a bit splashy. There's a number of chicken wings flying in the air, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, from a metal container. So it looks like when they flip them up to get the sauce all over each of them. And the cover story is called The Secret Sauce: How a West Side Pizzeria Built a $60 million empire selling wings nationwide. And that will be on page 12 by Tracy Drury. But it's a very colorful cover. It's kind of oranges, flames, butter burning, and of course, I don't know if it's AI, I have no idea, but they caught the they caught the wings in mid-flight as they're being from the mixing bowl up in the air being tossed, so the sauce is equally distributed. Okay, also on the cover, the list: Western New York's 100 largest employers and top printers. So it looks like there's going to be two lists. And then the power people, there's a gentleman there in a powder blue suit coat, powder blue shirt, and a rather large grin on his face. People, not math, key for this CPA. Now, Witham's top local executive, Richard Wright Jr., talks technology, acquisition, and leadership. And that will be Josh Gully on page 3 in the feature Power People. So we're going to page 2 here, first things first. And there's a picture of a gentleman flipping the side around at the door of his business, and it says, "Come in, we are open." And it says, Western New York's new business filings rose in 2025. 13,000 plus businesses were born in 2025, up from 2024, but short of 2023's high. Now this is written by Leon Bunny under First Things First. Over 13,000 new companies were created in Western New York in 2025, and this surpassed 2024's total, but it did fall short of the other post-pandemic years. That's according to the latest new business application data from the U.S. Census Bureau. Nationally, the month of May saw more than 523,000 new business applications across the country, according to the Census Bureau. That's far higher than in the years leading up to the pandemic, when new business applications gradually grew from 200,000 a month during the aftermath of the Great Recession and just under 300,000 in late 2019. Then, of course, COVID hit, and hundreds of thousands of Americans took the entrepreneurial plunge. That was just as true here in Western New York. From 2021 on, more than 12,000 new business applications have been submitted each year within the 8 counties of Western New York: Allegheny, Cattaraugus, Chautauqua, Erie, Genesee, Niagara, Orleans, and Wyoming counties. The high mark came in 2023 when the region surpassed 14,000 annual new business application. And then they have a little column here with numbers, big numbers. 13K plus new business applications created in Western New York in 2025. 14K plus new business applications submitted in Western New York in 2023. And, as they said before, 12K average number of new business applications submitted in Western New York each year since 2021. So, wow, okay, good stuff. And now we go to page 3, and as I mentioned, Power People, and this gentleman pictured is Richard Wright Jr., partner in charge, Witham's Western New York offices. And as I said, the gentleman looks very, very happy. He's got I'd say, it's a sport coat. It's not a suit coat, but it's a powder blue with horizontal and vertical stripes, but it's not a full plaid. And then underneath it, he has like a powder blue. It looks now, I see it enlarged, it's more like a leisure shirt or let's say a golf shirt, something like that. And a very satisfied grin on his face as he looks out. And this is being brought to us by Josh Gully, and Josh will be offering questions and areas of discussion. And here's a little explanation of what this feature is. Buffalo Business First publishes 3 annual power lists: the Power 250, the Power 200 Women, and the Power 100 Business Leaders of Color, featuring the top business leaders in Western New York each week. This week, we will tell you about Richard Wright Jr., partner in charge, Withum's, that's WITHUM', Western New York offices. Okay, and I'm hoping that this Josh Gully article explains what Withum Company does, and I'll bet if being a good writer, I bet he does. Okay, and he writes, many people associate accounting with math, but to Richard Wright Jr., partner in charge at Withum's Western New York offices, math is just a small part of the equation required for success in the industry. So, Wright, a New York Falls native, says, do you remember high school when they used to make you memorize those formulas? Because the teacher would always say, you're not always going to have a calculator available to you, close quote. Well, as it turns out, most of us carry a calculator in our pockets, but that's not to say accountants don't need math skills. Now, Richard adds, and this is a quote, you have to be able to find the missing pieces and put them in. So you may have 3 of the 5 variables to solve something, but you don't have the others, and you've got to figure those out. So it's not real hardcore math. Computers do that for us, close quote. So Richard does not see the continued advancement of technology as a bad thing. Instead, he says it frees accountants from legwork. And he adds, the only downside is if you don't embrace it. You've heard the cliche, people say AI won't replace you. But accountants who use AI will replace accountants that don't, according to Richard. Now, Wright joined Freed Maxick in 2004. He became a partner in 2007 and spent time leading the firm's HR department. He then became managing director in 2023, and in that role, he led the company through its 2025 combination with Withum, W-I-T-H-U-M. While there were some challenges such as incorporating software, Wright said that going from being a firm with 350 employees to one that has 3,500 employees has opened some doors. The company does not yet have final numbers, but, Richard Wright says, our percentage growth with the merger this year has exceeded what our prior year growth was without the merger. Now, in the Power 250 rank for 2026, he's ranked at 187. Okay, now as I mentioned, Josh Gully just offers Richard some areas of discussion or questions. When hiring, what do you look for? I've always looked for authenticity. Somebody that tries to be themselves, doesn't try to be something they're not. I've always believed it's a lot easier to be yourself than to try to pretend. What's something people don't know about you? I'm a World War II history buff. Also, even though if you cut me open, I will bleed Buffalo Bills and Buffalo Sabres colors, I am also a diehard Los Angeles Dodgers fan. Oh my. Being a Yankee fan, I don't want to comment on that, but I just did. Okay, what was your favorite high school subject? He said, I was a 3-sport athlete, so it was gym. Outside of that, it was a psychology class. It was not math. And everybody's like, aren't accountants great with numbers? And I'm like, well, you got to be good with people. Okay, next one. Describe yourself as a boss. And Richard says, open-minded and fair. I try to always put myself in the other person's shoes. Sometimes to a fault, right? Definitely not an iron fist. Then, what's your advice to your 25-year-old self? And Richard says, learn as much as you can about AI, but not really because nobody knew that was a thing. I would also say, you want to have intentional pauses on parts of your life and appreciate everything that you have. Gratitude. Be grateful. So, Josh asks, what you keep in mind while dealing with clients? And Richard says, never lose sight that they are trusting us with, outside of their children, probably their most valuable things in life, their businesses that they've built. They are trusting us to advise them on that, so you have to take it very seriously. So what's the favorite thing about your job other than personnel, says Josh Gully. And Richard says, to see others' successes and to just generally be a part of that. I love to see my teammates win. And finally, if you had to do another job, what would that be? and Richard answers, I'd be retired now, but I have been a gym teacher or a weatherman. I've always been a frustrated weatherman. Well, okay. So that's some insight into the mind, the way that Richard Wright Jr. approaches his position with them. And as we learn, they are accounting offices, 3,500 employees. Okay, so you know, folks, that's the end of page 3. And now on page 4, we have Banking and Finance with Jacob Tierney. And we have 1, 2, 3 articles. So we'll go from left to right. Okay, first we have real estate. HSBC expands Buffalo presence. So Jacob Tierney writes, HSBC is growing in the Larkin district, having announced a 10-year lease of 31,000 square feet at the Exchange Building. Now that's in addition to its existing 65,000 square feet of space at the nearby Larkin U Building, where the bank opened new local offices in 2024. The space at 726 Exchange Street will open in early 2027 and house up to 200 employees according to the bank, though it did not say how many jobs would be created initially. Excuse me. Now, HSBC CEO Jason Henderson said in a statement, Buffalo has been a part of HSBC's U.S. story for a long time, and opening the additional space reflects the confidence we have in this city and this team. HSBC has more than 1,000 employees in the Buffalo area. That is its second largest workforce in the U.S. after New York City. Larkin Development Group owns both the Larkin U Building and the Exchange Building. Now, Larkin Development President Kayla Zemsky said in a statement, we are extremely proud to be the Western New York home of HSBC. HSBC has been a wonderful partner and already added to so much vibrancy in the Larkin neighborhood. Their expanded presence on the Larkin campus will continue to add to the vitality of the district and propel us to take on additional neighborhood development projects. Okay. So next we have the, let's say, largest of the 3 articles on this page by Jacob Tierney, Banking and Financing. And here's a young man. Again, they're all smiling in this issue. KeyBank Head of Consumer Banking, Victor Alexander. And Victor's sitting in his casual KeyBank black open collared shirt. And looks like he has on leisure slacks, and he's sitting there on a gray leather, looks like the end of one of the couches. And again, I mentioned it, he's got a big smile on his face. Key private client target household with $250K to $2 million net worth. Okay, now remember, the headline is mass. Let me make sure I got the whole thing. Okay, under Key Bank, mass affluent segment is booming in Buffalo. Western New York is the biggest market in Key Bank's fastest growing business segment. This, according to Victor Alexander, head of consumer banking. And Victor says, every year my first visit of the year in January is Buffalo. And it's not because the weather is better. Well, how dare he? Okay. As banks evolve their digital and in-branch offerings, Key Bank has put a significant focus on the mass affluent demographic defined as households with between $250,000 and $2 million in investable net worth. It's a strategy that's proved popular with customers, especially in the Buffalo market. The bank launched Key Private Client in 2023, a service that combines a high-limit, low-fee checking account and wealth management services. Until recently, many of Key Private Bank's tools and analysts were only available to its wealthiest clients, those with at least $2 million to invest. But Key Private Client brings those services to a much wider group, and it's been a major success. More than 60,000 households have signed up, and Western New York is leading the way, according to Mr. Alexander. And he wants to keep building on that momentum. You know, he's identified 50 top branches for the private client business and will soon renovate them to include a designated private client space with an upscale feel. And he adds, you know, I want people who aren't in private client to come in and say, hey, what's that? Close quote. In a separate project, the bank will soon begin extensive interior renovations at 250 of its top performing branches, including more than 20 in the Buffalo region. As more day-to-day banking tasks move online, branches increasingly are shifting to a place for personalized guidance. And for those routine tasks, Alexander said the bank is on track to invest a record amount into its website and app this year. It recently rolled out improvements that provide clear, easy-to-interpret details about customers' debit card transactions based on data showing questions about charges accounted for a large portion of their consumer service calls. Okay, and then there's a quote up from Victor Alexander underneath that picture of him again with the satisfied smile. I knew we had a large number of clients within the bank who are mass affluent. Okay, so Jacob Tierney has given us the HSBC expansion. Now we hear about Key Bank. And finally on this page, governance. Governance, Governance. Delaware North CEO joins M&T's board of directors. Delaware North's CEO Jerry Jacobs Jr. is the newest member of M&T Bank's board of directors. He shares the title of Delaware North CEO with his brothers, Lou and Charlie. The three are also alternate governors to the National Hockey League's Boston Bruins. He's active in several community organizations and serves as chair of the University of Buffalo Council. In 2025, Buffalo Business First named Jerry and Alice Jacobs to the joint top spot on the annual Power 250 list due to their influence in both business and nonprofit endeavors. Jacobs is the first new member of M&T's board since 2023. At the time of the last appointment, the board had 17 directors. But due to a series of departures over the last few years, the board's membership now stands at 13, including Jacobs. Non-employee directors on M&T's board receive annual compensation. According to the bank's most recent proxy statement, this includes $145,000 in stock and $100,000 in cash, with the potential to learn more by serving on various board committees. Okay, so that's the end of the page on banking and finance. That's page 4. And those 3 articles were brought to us by Jacob Turney. And you know, before I continue, I'm tardy. Not at school, but I'm tardy in reminding you that you're listening to a reading of articles and features from Buffalo Business First on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. I'm so used to saying it, I can't even read it straight already. But anyways, we're glad you're listening. That's the editorial we, by the way. So next we have a page, The Business of Retail, and Lee and Bunny, here on page 5, gives us what I've been waiting. Those of you who have heard me wax euphoric about these mystery items know what I'm talking about. It's either a quote or a mystery number, and today we have a quote. And this again, now keep in mind, usually the numbers in the quotes fit the theme of the page, which is business of retail. So this quote says, "That location just seems to be screaming for a Buffalo store. We've got some great fun ideas to make it an experience." Okay. Okay, so in the quote we know we're talking about a new Buffalo store, BFLO, Buffalo store being built, or perhaps taking over another vacated building. But the quote is, "That location just seems to be screaming for a BFLO, Buffalo store. We've got some great fun ideas to make it an experience." And it's said by Nathan Rose, owner, BFLO store, Buffalo store, on the new location in a former Rite Aid at 190 Main Street in East Aurora. And if I'm not mistaken, that's right down there, close to the circle. So, very interesting. At least I think it is. Okay, now. Niagara Falls. Fashion Outlets secures $15 million tax break. The fashion outlets of Niagara Falls got some financial relief as a looming loan payment comes due this fall. The Niagara County Industrial Development Agency recently approved roughly $15.4 million in tax breaks over a 10-year period for the mall owned by California-based Macerich. That's M-A-C-E-R-I-C-H. Macerich. The agreement aims to provide more financial predictability and long-term stability for the mall and the county based on meeting documents. A fashion outlets loan with a balance of $75 million is due in October. The commercial mortgage-backed securities loan, which was originated in October 2010 by Leader GACC, is held in a portfolio of similar property mortgages that have been sold off in shares, or CMBS, to investors. The borrower has paid off about $47 million of the original balance and received 2 loan extensions over the last 16 years. Okay, so that's the fashion outlets in Niagara Falls. And now the last article on this page, page 5, and also written by Lee and Bunny, says, "What IKEA means for the Galleria and Western New York." And there's a picture of one of the signs for the Galleria Mall. It's coming up a slope with some bushes at the bottom, and it's got WG, Walden Galleria, Regal Cinemas, Stadium 16, and there's blue skies, white clouds. So nice little filler for the page. And let's get to this article. Now keep in mind Lee and Bunny is the writer. Furniture giant planning 67,000 square foot store at Walden Galleria. And there's also a quote in the middle of this article in a column. It says, "It's kind of a status symbol to have an IKEA, and they're pretty hard to come by." And this is said by Charles Lindsay, Associate Marketing Professor, University of Buffalo School of Management. So he's not a let's say, a spokesperson for IKEA. This is a marketing professor at UB saying it's kind of a status symbol to have an IKEA, and they're pretty hard to come by. So, okay, let's get to the article itself. IKEA is the latest major retailer to select Western New York for one of its stores, a huge vote of confidence in the region's local retail sector. Home goods brand At Home opened in Amherst in 2022, and Bob's Discount Furniture arrived here in 2024. A second local Trader Joe's opened in late 2025. Dick's Sporting Goods launched its I'm sorry, this is a strange word. Okay. Dick's Sporting Goods launched its experiential retail concept here in the spring. The region's first Costco is slated to open later this year. On June 16th, the Walden Galleria in Cheektowaga announced that the well-known Swedish retailer, IKEA, is opening a 67,000 square foot store right at the Galleria in early 2027. And again, we have that quote. Charles Lindsay, University of Buffalo School of Management Associate Marketing Professor, says, it's kind of a status symbol to have an IKEA, and they're pretty hard to come by. They're very data-driven, so that tells me a lot about the future prospects for the Galleria. And of course, it has tremendous implications for Western New York. Close quote. Excuse me. Period Management Group, the mall's owner, told Business First no one was immediately available to speak about how the company reached a deal with IKEA. Part of the cachet of landing a IKEA comes from how few stores the brand has in the U.S. 51 to be exact. By contrast, although both Costco and Trader Joe's were long anticipated in Western New York, the brands each have over 600 stores nationwide. IKEA's choosing the Buffalo shows the brand sees economic growth potential here, and Lindsay adds, Buffalo has been experiencing a renaissance for more than a decade. Lindsay adds, IKEA is a good fit for the local market because it's known as an affordable home furnishing and goods brand. Buffalo is a lower income, more blue-collarish market than some other larger markets across the country, and it also has a lot of college students, and they are good customers for IKEA. Okay, and then the final paragraph of this, or final paragraphs, come under the heading of a sign of operational longevity for the Galleria. The local IKEA news comes not long after the Walden Galleria sidestepped a mortgage foreclosure. In 2025, Pyramid defaulted on the Galleria loan with a roughly $220 million balance, which led to the start of the mortgage foreclosure process. This year, Pyramid secured the new financing it needed to maintain ownership of the mall. That new financing replaced the site's pre-existing debt, so the foreclosure process stopped. The new financing was put in place in partnership with leaders that include global asset manager Cross Ocean Partners and impact investment from Second Horizon Capital. Challenges aside, the Galleria has demonstrated operational longevity, from its maintaining of high occupancy levels to its ability to draw in such well-known tenants as Toys R Us and Perfumania. And Lindsay adds one final comment here. Given the retail landscape and the changes we've seen online, even those relatively strong players have significant debt. In many cases, they've got an anchor store opening or two that haven't been able to fill. That's a perfect opportunity for IKEA. It's kind of like a win-win. Well, we certainly hope so, and that's the end of page 5. The Business of Retail, brought to us by Lee and Bunny. And next, as sure as day follows night, 6 follows 5, and it's the business of food. Tracy Drury has, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4 articles for us here. But alas and alack, no mystery quotes or mystery numbers. We'll have to muddle on through without those folks, but here's something you can always count on. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from Buffalo Business First on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. You know, if I could just editorialize for a second, whoever writes the headlines is near and dear to my heart. Having taken any number of journalism courses, I just find headlines like this: experienced owners partner on ghost kitchen. Cheesy chick to shutter Main Street site. Well, I guess that's more because the title's a funny title, but this ghost kitchen, I'm drawn into the article. I just want to know what that means. So, Kenmore, experienced owners partner on ghost kitchen. Two partners with deep holdings in the region's restaurant and real estate industry are reintroducing a ghost kitchen operation in Kenmore with room for 27 tenants. The space at 1516 Military Road will operate as 716 Craft Kitchens under Josh Cohen and Russell Salvatore, who have already begun marketing the 11,200 square foot building to food trucks, restaurants, caterers, and private jets. In a ghost kitchen, here's the explanation, folks. In a ghost kitchen, operators rent space in restaurants and serve their menus through delivery or pickup. Cohen may use the space himself for one or more of his own concepts, which include Gertie's and Clarence Center, Pio Mine, and Greens, and Salsaritas. Cohen's Golden Oak management portfolio includes properties in Puerto Rico, and more than a dozen properties in the Western New York market. Now, his partner in 716 Craft Kitchens, Russell Salvatore, runs the Salvatore's hospitality business with family members, including Salvatore's Italian Gardens, the Delavan Hotel, and Chandelier Bar, Italian Prime and Perla Restaurants, and the Humbert House. Tenants will have access to one-year leases with three different options ranging from $1,700 for 189 square foot unit to $2,598 for a 370 square foot site. Okay, so now we know what a ghost kitchen is. Next we have here under Ransomville, there's a picture of Rose Johnson, who again looks like a very satisfied and happy person, leaning on the back shelf of her bar. Rose Johnson here is the co-owner of Johnson's Restaurant in Ransomville. And judging by the smile on her face, it must be a fairly lucrative business. Century-old eatery goes up for sale. Okay. And there's a quote here. It's a great opportunity for someone to come in and be part of something and make a difference in the community, says Rose Johnson, fourth generation operator of Johnson's Family Restaurant. A real estate listing in Ransomville could result in a nearly 100-year-old restaurant transitioning away from family ownership. Johnson's Family Restaurant has been operated by the Johnson family since 1933, when it was founded at 2575 Academy Street by William and Mary Johnston, tucked away on a side street off Route 93. The restaurant is housed in a white building with a small sign out front. Residents of the small Niagara County don't need a sign to find the spot that's been a landmark for generations. Fourth generation operators, Dale and Rose Johnson, have overseen the bar restaurant for the past 37 years. The fifth generation of Johnsons, Dale and Rose's three children, have chosen other careers: engineering, compliance, and HR, however, with their parents' support. So, with no next generation to take over, Dale and Rose listed Johnson's for sale at $595,000 this spring with Louis Ferry of Hunt Real Estate. The deal includes the restaurant business plus the 4,600 square foot building. There's also a 2-bedroom apartment upstairs, a detached garage, and parking for 14 cars. Dale has already taken a new job driving a truck. Rose continues to run Johnson's with a crew of 11. She still cooks, does all the soups and pies from scratch. Dale does the books and other administrative tasks on weekends when he's not driving. The family has a long history in the town of Porter, where the Johnsons started out as farmers during Prohibition before moving back to town to buy the building, which was a former hotel. William and Mary Johnston raised 8 children upstairs in space that was later converted into an apartment with some office space. Their son Clifford took over the business next with his wife Edna. Then it passed to Dale's parents, Ronald and Peggy, before he and Rose took over. Okay, so good luck to them. Sounds like, just from the looks of it, a place you might want to go, and especially for some homemade baked goods, but you wonder what the new owners may say or do with the property. Okay, the next article on this page, Business of Food, Cheesy Chick to shutter Main Street site in Williamsville. Cheesy Chick Cafe and Food is Cheesy Chick Cafe and Food Trucks is closing its longtime cafe in Williamsville and consolidating operations at the University of Buffalo's North Campus. The company will end operations July 11th at 5385 Main Street, where it opened in 2019 as an extension of its food truck business. A second location opened in February at the Commons at 65 Lee Road at UB. Owner Simone Fancher, who operates the business with her son Jonathan Rowan, pointed to slow sales and an increase in rent at the Main Street space. And Fancher says it was just the last straw to leaving, plus the low sales. Specializing in grilled cheese and mac and cheese, Cheesy Chick got its start in 2013 with a food truck, then expanded to include catering, and its first cafe in 2016 at Eastern Hills Mall. Fancher said the company is prepping now for a busy summer season with 2 to 3 food trucks on the road, with 4 events booked on many days. Okay, well, we certainly wish them well in their newer endeavors. And now Lancaster. Muscarell's open second site, this one in Lancaster. Muscarell's Fine Desserts is expanding its reach into Erie County. The upscale bakery based in North Tonawanda is adding a site at 10 West Main Street in the village of Lancaster, where it will take over the 4-year-old Gabrielle's Bakery. The new site gives the company access to an expanded audience in Erie County, plus the benefits that come with being in a walkable community like the village. That's expected to be a big change from the customer base at its longtime location at 3960 Niagara Falls Boulevard in North Tonawanda. Philip Sidoriak, who bought the business about 9 years ago with partner Stefan Duck, said there will be seating for about a dozen people inside while exploring the opportunity of adding outdoor seating. Okay, well, Tracy Drury keeps us up to date there on the business of food, and that is the end of page 6. And if all of those years of learning numbers have done anything for me, I'm going to bet the next page will be page 7, and oh my gosh, may all my wishes come true. It's the list. And this one compiled by the list meister, Hassan Green. And the topic for this particular list is printers, ranked by the number of full-time employees. My gosh. Let's see, I'm trying to see. Okay, so this is a one-page list. This comprises all of page 7. And we go from 1 to 21, but of course there's any number of ties here. I see at least 3 ties. Okay, printers ranked by the number of employees. Excuse me. So we'll hear about the name of the printing company, its location, how many full-timers, how many presses, which is very important. Hold the presses. Just thought I'd say that. The type of products which they produce with their presses, and of course, as always, the top local executive. Okay, in first place, Zenger Group in Tonawanda have 114 full-time employees. They have 20 presses, and they do printed materials, publications, direct mail, and packaging. And Stephen Zenger is their top local executive. Okay, now keep in mind they're ranked by number of full-time employees. So in second place, with 110 full-time employees, we have TapeCon on Seneca Street in South Buffalo. 110 full-time employees. They have 9 presses. They do labels, overlays, chemical indicators, wearables, gaskets, printed electronic sensors, and EMI shielding. Steve Davis is their top local executive. In third place, we have CompuMail LLC on Grand Island. They have 99 full-time employees. Number of presses are 5. They too do direct mailing, transactional mail, promotional products, commercial print. And Charles DeWald and Anthony Marcioni are the top local executives. In fourth place, we have Matrix Imaging Solutions, and they're in Sanborn. They have 70 full-time employees, 4 presses. They do print and mail services, direct mail, secure mail, and communications. John Hartwell is their top local executive. In fifth place, we have Niagara Label, and of course, they're located in Akron. They have 60 full-time employees with 11 presses. Prime Labeling Services for various industries. And Chris Whitmerch is the top local executive. Sixth place, we have Ginsier International out in Williamsville. They have 59 full-time employees and 13 presses. Manufacturer of pressure-sensitive labels, shrink sleeves, and flexible packaging. Daniel Braun is their top local executive. In seventh place, the Post-Journal in Jamestown. 45 full-time employees. They have 1 printer. Newspapers, broadsheets, tabloid, and book formats. Michael Bird is their top local executive. In 8th place, the Niagara Gazette on River Road, North Tonawanda. 39 employees with 1 press. Newspaper printing, commercial print, digital, and direct mail. Cheryl Phillips is their top local executive. 9th place, we have VSP Graphic Group in Buffalo and West Seneca. They have 32 full-time employees, 16 presses, digital wide format signage, and fleet wraps, reflective applications. Trey George is their top local executive, and that's Trey, T-E-T-R-E-Y. And rounding out the top 10, Ace Sign and Graphics on Transit in Depew. They have 20 full-time employees, 8 presses. They do flags, signs, vinyl wraps, wallpaper, decals, all wide format printing. Chad Lozeller is the top local executive. So now, let's see, we're going to go from 11, and there's a tie at 11. So whenever there's a tie, they go by alphabetical order. So at first at 11 is Falconer Printing and Design, and of course, how logical, they're in Falconer. They have 18 full-time employees. They have 4 presses. They do offset and digital brochures, catalogs, packaging, envelopes, mailing, signage, and apparel. James Roche is their top local executive. And also in 11th place, Minutemen Press Amherst and Buffalo on Hazelwood Drive in Amherst. 18, they also have 18 full-time employees, 6 presses. from small business cards to large signs, promo materials, and apparel. Leslie Frobe is the top local executive, or Frobo. Okay. 13th, we have a tie. Buffalo Design and Printing on Elmwood Avenue. 15 full-time employees and 7 printers. Business cards, envelopes, brochures, bound books, catalogs, napkins, and wrapping paper. Joseph Farage is the top local executive. Also in 13th place, we have Marketing Technologies of Western New York on Main Street in the city. 15 full-time employees, 6 presses, commercial print, direct mail, graphic design, large format printing, web development, and Donald Papai is the top local executive. So, there's a tie in 15th place. Keller Brothers and Miller Incorporated on Franklin in the city have 9 full-time employees, 4 presses, printed products of all types for office, marketing, fundraising, packaging, application. Ralph Salerno is their top local executive. And also tied to 15th place is Pioneer Printers on Erie in North Tonawanda. They too have 9 full-time employees, but 12 presses. Business cards, letterheads, carbonless forms, posters, tickets, wedding invitations, signs, and Carl Hoover is their top local executive. Okay, in 17th place, we have Grover Cleveland Press, Sweet Home in Amherst. They have 8 full-time employees and 8 printers. Commercial Printing Options, and Michael Dejean is their top local executive. 18th place, we have Printed Image of Western New York, and they're on Clinton in the city. They have 7 full-time employees, 5 printers. Printing of signs, brochures, posters, tickets, business cards, envelopes, and mailing services. Richard Zavarella is their top local executive. In 19th place, Allegra Marketing Print and Mail, and they're in Cheektowaga on Union Road. 5 full-time employees, 4 presses, small and large format print, design, websites, mailings, digital marketing, local SEO and ACO. Jennifer Getty is the top local executive. 19th place, we have Print to Web, John Glenn Drive and 14228. They have 5 employees. They have 3 printers. Brochures, flyers, business cards, envelopes, annual reports, programs, posters, and signs. And Jean Zerbiak is their top local executive. And there's a tie to end this with 2 people tied for 21st place. 3G Signs, Niagara Falls Boulevard and Amherst, have 3 employees, full-time, 7 presses, signs, banners, stickers, vinyl graphics, paper printing, embroidered and printed apparel. And Bobby Gans is the top local executive. And then also 21st place, Lifeforms Printing Incorporated. And they're on Terrace Boulevard in Depew. They have 3 full-time employees. They have 5 printers. Carbonless Forms, full color print, packaging, products including labels and sheets. And Nick Sanders is their top local executive. And I forgot to mention this at the beginning because it is at the bottom of the page, but it says, information on the list was obtained through the Buffalo Business First research or supplied by individual firms through questionnaires that we could not independently verify. Okay, that's the end of page 7. And hopefully we'll have time to get most of page 8 and page, oh my God. There's 4 pages in a row of the list, and I know I'm not going to be able to get to the whole thing. So I'll have to do as much as I can in my time remaining. Okay, and just a reminder, you're listening to a reading of articles and features from Buffalo Business First on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. Now, I think just with the time remaining, I'm only going to be able to do the top 25 of the largest employers, and they're ranked by the number of local full-time equivalent employees. Okay, I'm trying to figure out a way to get these all in, so we'll start right away. Number 1 is the state of New York, with local full-timers 23,381. And of course, their state government, Kathy Hochul is the top executive. Second is Kaleida Health with 11,021 full-time employees. It's a healthcare system, obviously, and the top local executive is Dan Boyd. Number 3 is the Federal Executive Board on Elmwood in the city. Excuse me, they have 10,080 full-time employees. And of course, they're a branch of the federal government, Federal Executive Board, and the top executive was not available. In number 4, we have M&T Bank with 7,763 employees, full service banking, and Renee Jones is their top local executive. 5th place, Catholic Health, 7,621 full-time employees, healthcare system obviously, and Joyce Markevich is the top local executive. Number 6 is University at Buffalo with 7,079 full-time employees, Institution of Higher Education, and Satish Tripath is the local executive. 7th place, Buffalo City School District, 6,118 employees, public school system, and Pascal Mathenja is the top local executive. Number 8 is Tops Friendly Markets with 4,771 employees. And of course, they're a grocery store. And Ron Fury is their top local executive. Next, Erie County in 9th place, 4,500 full-time employees, and they're a municipal government. Mark Polenkars is their top local executive. In 10th place is Walmart, 4,200 employees. And of course, it's a retail store, and the name is not available. 11th place, Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Care Center, 4,030 employees full-time, healthcare provider, and Candace Johnson is their top local executive. 12th place, we have Moog. Obviously, Moog in East Aurora. They have 4,000 employees, aerospace and defense, industrial energy, marine, and medical markets. Pat Roche is their top local executive. ECMC is in 13th place with 3,800 employees. It's obviously a hospital led by Andrew Davis. People Incorporated, headquartered in Williamsville, 3,700 full-time employees. Health and Human Services provider, Ann McCaffrey is their top local executive. 15th place we have Wegmans, 3,281 full-time employees, family-owned regional supermarket chain. Patty Kaminsky is the top local executive. Seneca Gaming is in 16th place with 3,000 employees full-time. Casino Gaming and Entertainment, Kevin Nephew is the top local executive. 17th place is the City of Buffalo with 2,670 full-time employees. And they're a municipal government, of course, led by Sean Ryan. Tesla, number 18, South Park Avenue, 2,432 full-time employees. They manufacture electric vehicles, clean energy generation, and storage. Antonio Samuel is their top local executive. 19th place we have Citi, C-I-T-I. They have 2,400 top local full-time employees. Full service banking, and Anthony Vasquez is their top local executive. Next we have Wester Automotive on Southwestern, and of course they have other dealerships. 2,196 full-time employees. Automotive sales, service, and financing, Scott Beeler and Beth Hollis is their top local executives. 21 is Northwest Bank, and they have 2,150 employees full-time. They offer full-service banking, and Carrie Barnum is the top local executive. 22nd place, VA Western New York Healthcare System, 2,100 full-time employees. Occupational therapy, physical therapy, muscles and musculoskeletal. Danielle Bergman is the top local executive. 23rd place is Elderwood, 1,800 employees, healthcare communities, subacute rehab therapy center, wheelchair transportation, and managed long-term care. Warren Cole is the top local executive. 24th place is Thermo Fisher Scientific, and that's out in Grand Island. 1,600 full-time employees. They support academic, government, research institutions, pharmaceutical, and biotechnology companies. Sean LaBarge is their top local executive. And rounding out the top 25, we have General Motors in Lockport. 1,600 full-time employees. They are not a manufacturer, and Jason Roselle is the top local executive. And you have to forgive me, but that's all I can read. I don't have any more time, although I wish I could spend more time with you. I just have time enough to say. I'm so glad we had this time together. Now, if I could only get my computer to work, here we go. Okay, you've been listening to a reading of articles and features from the July 3rd through 9th, 2026 issue of Buffalo Business First. And you know, we read from Buffalo Business First every Wednesday at 7 p.m., and your reader has been Fran McNamara. Thank you for listening, and may I just add, get on whatever your favorite form of electronics are, get into your search box and put in NFRRS or Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, and you'll go to our website, and it's a veritable cornucopia. I was going to say Pandora's box, but that's not right. No, you'll get there, you will be amazed what's there for your listening pleasure. And believe me, it's not just periodicals. There's books of every imaginable subject matter, and fiction, nonfiction, documentary, I'm sorry, not documentaries. I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank, but just so many. It's overwhelming, even for my rapidly aging mind. But what's there is there, and you don't need to have it broadcast. You can click on and it will be read to you. So anyways, I thank you so much for listening.
Coming up next in the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have Time Magazine. At 8 o'clock is the New York Times, and at 9 o'clock is from our friends at Comic Story and our usual weekly comic book reading. This week we have part 1 of Tom Taylor's Nightwing, Ultimate Spider-Man issues 9 and 10, and Absolute Superman number 3. Stay with us. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability